I woke up one day and I couldn't move from head to toe. I was completely debilitated. I could only scream and I was rushed to a hospital. I accept that I have multiple sclerosis. I accept that I have congenital heart defect, but it's not going to stop me from doing anything.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Toughest Finish Line podcast with me, Jen Doan. This week we are sharing the story of someone who battles with pain and tough finish lines every single day. And yet she doesn't let this hold her back and stop her from setting some incredible goals and working towards some huge sporting finish lines, such as the Ironman World Championships. So welcome to the show, Ashley Norton. Thanks for being here today. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you. I'm so excited.
So, Ashley, I first met you on a Teams call with the Ironman Foundation, and I remember thinking there was this super bubbly, smiley, excitable person who was so inspiring. And then I learnt about your medical history, and it just blew my mind and inspired me even more. So, shall we start there? Can you tell us a bit about your medical diagnosis?
Yeah, so I'm thriving with multiple sclerosis, six heart surgeries. I'm dependent on my second pacemaker. I'm a single mom. I'm a DV survivor, and I think that pretty much tops off everything. But yeah,
It's
yeah, we
just a
did. We met
few
on
things.
our Kona call. It was, and just as inspiring as you say I am, you also, your journey, I think that was an incredible way to meet in that group of women with just so many extraordinary stories. So, such an honor to be a part of that.
Yeah, it was an amazing group, and we will come back to talk about Team IMF and Kona in a bit more detail. But I mean, your medical history and your diagnosis, you've got multiple sclerosis, you're reliant on a pacemaker. And, I knew a little bit about multiple sclerosis, but for people who don't know, can you explain what exactly is multiple sclerosis?
Yeah, I could go into the layman's term. I think that's easier for people to understand. Basically, it's the demyelination of your sheath that we need in order to use all our motor skills. So I have lesions on my brain and I have lesions on my spine. And what they do is we have a protective barrier that protects our nerves so we can walk, talk, pick things up. Every motor skill that we have, and unfortunately, when those lesions or like little potholes start to eat away that protective barrier, the demyelination starts, and then you start to see people that are in wheelchairs, people that do lose eyesight, people that do lose the ability to walk or to talk. And there are things called flare ups that I have, and those are just old scars that flare up. And what happens is I can just wake up and then all of a sudden not be able to use my feet or my legs. Sometimes it's horrific pain that wakes me up in the middle of the night where I'm sleeping, and then all of a sudden it feels like someone's shoving a knife into my legs, and I get a lot of jerks, uh, numbness. I have a lot of fatigue. I forget things quite a bit. That's kind of progressed over the course of time. I've noticed. I always thought it was me just being tired and overworked, but now I know it is the MS that kicks in. Yeah, so that's kind of the short layman's term of what it is and how it affects your body, but it is a very serious incurable disease. But I believe that it's something that every single person and every body is different with MS. I think that's really the testament of who I am and how I was created, is that just because you see me swim, bike, run, and do all these major things, there's people and friends of mine that unfortunately, are, bed bound or wheelchair bound, people that no longer can see. But we all have our own testimony, and I think that really is what grows us into who we get to be in this world. And that's the gift that MS gives us. And that's how we get to look at it instead of like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, my aunt died from it. It's like, no, wait a minute, hold on, I'm about to go do the world championship. Like, it gets to be a different conversation in 2025 going forward. So, yeah, that's kind of what MS is.
Thank you. And it's I think hearing it from you explain it, it just makes it so clear what it is, but it's also makes it so real of how complex it is and how severe it is and how much it affects you on a day-to-day life. And how were you diagnosed with it? Because you weren't identified with it at birth, were you?
No, so actually, congenital heart defect. That's what I had a small heart murmur as a child when I was born, and mind you, this was some years ago. So back then, technology was not up to par like it is today. So I actually started with the heart before even MS. We don't know when could I have been born with MS? Could it progressively gone over time? Nobody knows. They can't factually tell you when you get it, but yeah, I had a lot of symptoms over the course of the years now that I know, and I think over the course of time, it was just a matter of time before I finally was, because I was misdiagnosed, which is a huge thing in the MS community. Is being we hear Selma Blair and we hear Christina Applegate and all them speak about this, but it's true. Is like the biggest thing with MS is being misdiagnosed. Um, so yeah, so I didn't get diagnosed till down the line until Bella was about 2 on Mother's Day. And I woke up one day and I couldn't move from head to toe. I was completely debilitated. I could only scream and I was rushed to a hospital. And because I have a pacemaker, they tend to not want to scan the pacemaker. So what they did is scan my spine and did some spinal taps and things of that nature and said it was autoimmune, sent me home after being on steroids and being in the hospital for some time. And then didn't scan my brain. So when I left, I had the same episode happen when I got off the steroids. So I went to UW, and that's when they finally scanned my brain. And they said, I'm sorry, it's multiple sclerosis. And I was so naive. I had no clue. I'm like, everything for me is I have lived in a lot of survival mode in my life from the things I've been through. And so I was just like, okay, like let's take this head on. Like, how do we beat it? And they're like, I'm sorry, like it's incurable. You manage it, and we don't know what the quality of your life is going to look like. So yeah, that's kind of how it came to light, and how and now it's actually probably one of the best things that has ever happened to me, because it's created the person that I am, and look at what it's doing for the world. So for me, it's that's what it is for me. I don't think of it as a sad thing. So
And I think that's one of the things that I love about you is just how you've been through such pain, and every day is the name of this podcast, a toughest finish line for you. And yet you have such a positive outlook on it. You keep going and it doesn't hold you back. You are grateful that you've got it and for the opportunities that it's bringing you. And I think that's just testament to how inspiring you are and how much of a fighter you are, to keep going with it. And you've just mentioned some of the symptoms that you saw. And I'm thinking for people out there who, again, don't know much about multiple sclerosis, what were some of those initial symptoms that you felt before you were diagnosed?
I used to be about 300 and I don't know 80 pounds. I was very heavy set as a child. Didn't know I had hypothyroidism. So when I lost 160 pounds very drastically by the own will of just me getting up, eating right, and just deciding, like literally it happened within less than a year. It was wild. I just got up and started like working out and like dumped everything. When I was working out, and I used to watch people in the gym, because mind you, I had no clue what I was doing. There was no fitness trainer, there was no apps or anything. It was just me like going in the gym and like copying people doing what they were doing. I
Yeah.
started to have a lot of numbness in my feet, I noticed. I don't think my symptoms were that bad until it got to like probably my late 20s. That's when it really started to show up more. And I thought I was like, oh yeah, I'm dehydrated by then, because then I became a fitness trainer and stuff. So I'm like, oh, I'm dehydrated. Like, oh, I'm malnourished. Oh, I haven't eaten enough. Like all these things. Another thing, actually, I just found out that as an MS symptom the other day is I would get this ringing noise in my ear. And as a kid, I used to tell my brother, I'm like, we used to have a thing with aliens, and we're like, oh my gosh, the aliens are tuning into our brain. But it would be this profound noise in my ear. And I would tell my mom, and I think she thought I was just like, whatever. But I found out actually that's a massive symptom of multiple sclerosis. So little things now that I know, the numbing of the hands, I used to be a big golfer. I was actually LPGA bound. A lot of people don't know that. I wasn't a swimmer, biker, runner. I would hold my grip and I would notice that I could only grip for so long, and then
Mm,
all of a sudden I'd have to let go because what happens is my hands start to cramp and it feels like this lock and jaw that you can't get out of, and it's very painful. And so that was another symptom I didn't know. I mean, I could probably go back into time and like forgetting things. There's things I forget, and I set 100 reminders all the time and wonder why. Like, I'm like, why do I forget things? Like what? Like, I really thought like I was getting Alzheimer's early at some point. I'm like, but of course it was MS. So yeah, again, I'm very blessed. I don't have the relapses that a lot of people do. I've
mhm.
had foot drop. I had foot drop in Salem in 23 when I did Salem. I tripped in front of everybody. That my first ever race, and everybody's like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's just keep going." Like, I know what's going on, but they thought I like hurt myself. But so there's a few things that I know now, but I'm sure as I progress and as the research progresses, we'll definitely start to see some more things that I
Yeah.
thought was just me, but it wasn't. And that's the biggest problem with this misdiagnosing is that
Mm,
people are going into emergency rooms and people are like, I'm numb from, foot to ankle. I'm numb up my arm. I'm having this. And unfortunately, these emergency room doctors are incredibly uneducated. It's a specialty disease. It's not their fault. But MS is just like they literally, how many millions of times that I've been written off with the diagnosis of MS, having it on my file,
mm,
and they completely will just shun me out the door. Like, oh, you're having an anxiety attack. No, God, no. I wish. But yeah, I just think that everybody is different, every symptom is different, but me personally, a lot of the numbness, loss of hands, you see me drop things, it's hard for me to put my chain on, and here we are now, more educated and seasoned and veteranized or whatever you want to call it, and now we know like, oh, this is gonna happen,
yeah.
so
Yeah. I cannot even begin to imagine how it must have felt waking up and not being able to move, not being able to feel things, being in so much pain. And I mean, obviously, there's medication and things like that, but what types of things really help you when you are having those flare ups, when you are in that pain?
um I think the Iron Man I need more than they even know because it gives me purpose. I had purpose. I thought I had really had my life down. I thought that I knew how to live every day. And even after being diagnosed, which I took a big gap of time where I wouldn't accept it. And so I would go gung ho into everything. And then
Mhm.
Iron Man made me realize like how important this disease is to me too. Instead of me just barreling through it, because that's what I do. I barrel through every barrier that comes to me. That's why I think I'm able to do these kind of sports. So, um, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I just know that there's people out there that would die literally to swim, bike, or run on an average day, an average amount of miles, even if it was just to walk 100 yards.
Yeah.
And I think about that and I'm like, there's no excuse. What excuse do I have? I was built with the same disease. I was created with the same disease, and I'm thriving. I am thriving, and that means that I was chosen for a reason. How dare I take for advantage every day I wake up that I have legs, that I'm able to walk, that I'm able to wake up in the morning and see my daughter's face, that I'm able to remember who my daughter is and what her name is and how to get her to school. And those type of there's people that live with this disease that don't have that and are unfortunate and have progressed quickly. People that have woken up in the middle of the night and have been blind. Could you imagine going to bed and waking up the next morning and being blind for the rest of your life, and or forgetting who every single person was in your home, including your husband, your children? and never regaining that back. I'm not saying you can't. We do see, but just that moment, it's that moment. So every moment for me is a moment. So I really try to embrace that. And there are days when I do not want to train. There are days, as me and Jen know, where I'm just like, Jen, I don't feel good. And then all of a sudden, Jen's like, great job on your bike. I'm just like, it's because I have to go back into that place of like, okay, like when I ran to the woman's home who's fully wheelchair bound, I ran an undisclosed amount of miles to raise money for her for a wheelchair in 26-degree weather, and she couldn't get a ramp and wheelchair to save her life. So I did that so I could bring attention to her and to show that what an able body but not really able body may look like. And then what's two different spectrums of MS, right? So it's, I think about her. I think she was an avid runner, and now the woman can't take care of herself, so I don't know. I don't know what the quality of my life looks like. Nobody does. But what I do know is that I woke up this morning, and after we do this, I'm going to go run like you told me to and go train. And I'm going to be appreciative for every single step, even when it's painful, you know? So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know the
And
mentality. It's just you got to do it. You got to get up. You can't feel sorry for yourself. Feel sorry for, look at what we're going through in our country. I mean, just the other, look at Texas, everything. You got to feel sorry. That's where we need to be sad. We don't need to be sad with our situation if you're fully functioning. I'm not buying it.
no, and Ashley, I think so many people can learn from you of just have that get up and go, and things can change in an instant, can't they? You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or in an hour's time. So let's live life for now. Let's get on it and get going, and keep doing setting those goals and pushing those boundaries whilst we can for those who can't necessarily do those things, isn't it? So
Well, I think it's our obligation that we have limbs and that we have the capability to, I think, and living in our purpose and truly executing it, not just being like, oh, I'm living. Like, are you living or are you existing? That
yeah.
too has a big part in my mentality too. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Are you living or are you existing? I think that's a
Yeah.
really, really strong tagline to put on your walls or wherever you are to keep you going. And so so I am currently your coach.
Yeah.
We are training for the World Championships in Kona. And I raced with you back in Kona in 2023, and you'd trained, you were aiming to become the first known person to cross the finish line with MS, weren't you?
Well, not just
Uh,
MS. I respectfully, there are friends because we had a woman there with MS. But what makes me different is I want to make it very clear for everybody because I respect. There have been multiple people before me with MS that have crossed the Ironman finish line, but the MS and the congenital heart defect, it's the two
yes.
disabilities in one. That's the part that really is like, how do the two combined, and how is all that?
Yeah, definitely. So, do you want to talk us through? Because that race didn't have the happy ending that we were all
Yeah.
planning for you, did it? And I think actually it will turn into a happy ending. But on that race, it was a tough day for you. Do you want to just explain what happened there?
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of people don't know the story behind it. I think outside of one other person, I think this is the first time I ever really spoke about it publicly. But Kona it happened very fast. I got a phone call from the Ironman Foundation, and Audra and I spoke, and she's extraordinary in what they're doing. And she said, hey, would you like to be a part of something that we're doing, and a very exclusive group of women that we're bringing in, and so that started it. Mind you, that was 2.5 months before Kona. I got the phone call. Now, we had been amping up. I had another woman supporting me. My journey has been kind of wonky with coaches because a lot of coaches didn't believe in me. One coach dumped me, told me people like me shouldn't do it. But so we got this Kona call, and little did people know when I got to Kona is that it was so much more behind the scenes. We had to raise the money, we had to get there, we had to figure out how my body was going to acclimate. I live in Seattle, Washington. There's no heat, there's no humidity, and so I went in with a bike that was completely inappropriate. I'm so grateful, but like I just I thought I had the bike, right? And I'm just like the three wheel. I ride a three-wheel trike, and so I don't ride a two-wheel bike because of my stability issues. And I went from a tanker to a green speed. Like it's a kind of like something you would take. Now I can say this with a smile, but like your husband or your wife like to the beach and have a drink or like get some tacos or something like that. Like it's not for a Ironman platform, let alone a world championship, let alone a lava field. But I believed and I was gonna do it no matter what anybody said. So uh, it was the first time. Kona was the first. I only got one swim or one or two swim practices in the ocean. So I only swam maybe two times in the ocean before I blasted off for the world championship. I didn't have the right bike. My bike got shipped to Kentucky. They had to send another bike, and that bike was damaged. So then we finally got the bike from Kentucky. Then when my bike derailleur was broken and the new bike came, we had to have, mind you, this is a trike on Kona Island. Okay, I forget the name of the bike shop right now, but there was a man there and he was so kind. Nobody knows anything about trikes, let alone on an island. Okay, so I had to enroll this man, and he was so nice to me. He started Googling and looking up. He had to replace my derailleur, my chain. They had to take both the bikes. Thank God we got it from Kentucky. Mind you, this was 72 hours before the race started, and they had to build one bike. So my bike was two bikes made into one due to all the issues we had and it being damaged and sent to the other side of the country. So everything was just, it was a learning experience. Everything was humbly, like in gratitude. We were there by the people. Like we had to raise money to get there. We didn't have a place to stay. I had a man that I wrote on the back of my car that we were doing this to help bring funds in to help us get there. This man saw my car at an LA Fitness and said, "Hey, I got an Airbnb. Do you need somewhere to stay?" I said, "Yes, thank you." Everything was the people. It was the
Yeah.
belief. It was the movement. It's what Ironheart Woman is. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to PR, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get better. Every race is about just seeing the impossible. Who gets to see it next? So their life gets to change. So yeah, I got in the water on race day. Um, Unfortunately, I was given the wrong nutrition and vitamins prior. So the whole time I was swimming, I was throwing up on one side, trying to breathe on the others. Mind you, the world champions of the world, China, Japan, Chile, are swimming on top of me. I'm being kicked. I'm being pulled. And then 1,000 yards in, that's when the MS, and I never had experienced this. My feet started cramping in this horrific pain. That's when it started happening. And it felt like someone was shoving a knife. So now I'm throwing up on one side, trying to breathe on the other, getting trampled by everybody. And then I can't use my feet. So I was using only my arms while I was trying to duck and dive. And then I think I got to the boat. Finally I got to the boat. Like praise Jesus, I got to the boat. And I looked up, and there was a point where I'm honestly gonna say this. I was like, I'm done. I can't. I couldn't physically get any more power to go. And then I look
Mm.
up and I see the Liza team. I see Liza in her canoe. That woman is, that was one of my first people I saw on the Ironman platform when I saw Ironman before I even knew what it was. And I said, I got to keep going. And I kept going. I made it out the water. I thought I was going to die when I came out the water. You see me wobbling. My stability was everywhere. I got to the bike, and you see me going off the bike, and I look like I was dying. I see the videos now, and it was because I was so like drained from the
Mm.
water, like an able body. They're like, okay, let's go, let's go. But for me, what happens is this is where the MS kicks in, is that I sucked all the energy out of my body from doing that swim. My body needs time to recover. Like I need to go take a nap for 3 hours and then go do the bike type thing. That's where really it's sticky for all of us, is getting that energy level to stay a
Mm.
bay where I'm not crashing and going down. Doesn't matter how much training we do. It's just ripping the energy out of me. So on the bike course, there was a million issues. I lost two bottles within, I don't know, 5 miles. I had my chain popped off 7 times. I had a full-fledged flare up going down Aviv. I was going down at that point, had no more salt, lost my salt pills, and I started to go down the hill, and then my leg completely locked, and I couldn't, like, I was pedaling with one leg because I couldn't move this leg. And then I was going so fast, I thought I was going to crash at some point. I didn't. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so it was just a lot of things that I didn't have enough time, but we were there and I was a part of
Yeah.
it. And I got through the swim and the bike. Unfortunately, when I got to the bike, they told me that as I go to the run, they said, I'm sorry, you missed it by what, like 7 minutes, I think. I didn't believe it. So I kept trying to run. And at world championships, they won't let you keep running. They'll pull you off the
No.
carpet real quick. So yeah, we had a lot of learning lessons, you know. Of course, it was devastation for me then, but I didn't know that I'd be back here now. And now we have a new bike. I get to swim in the ocean more than one time. I mean, the swimming in itself was just like, holy
Yeah.
bananas. That was the
Yeah.
whole experience.
I've been wearing Luca's cycling kit for around a year now, and it's genuinely benefited my training so much. Luca is a premium women's cycling wear brand created by women for women. Born from the frustration of ill-fitting gear and the outdated shrink it and pink it approach, Luca is here to set a new standard. For performance, for design, and for women, their pieces are made to move with you. Crafted in Portugal from high performance Italian fabrics, tested by a community of female cyclists, and worn by GB athletes like Sian Rainsley. It's more than cycling wear. It's a movement towards empowerment, confidence, and redefining what women's sportswear should be. I've personally found Luca kit to be unbelievably comfortable, and particularly on those longer rides. But also, it looks amazing and is super functional. It really does motivate me to get out on my bike. As a listener of this podcast, you can use my code ToughestFinishLine to get a little something off your first order at rideluca.com. It was an incredibly tough day, but as you say, so much learning was taken from it. And I remember seeing you the day after, and there were a lot of tears and from both of us, and it was really hard. But I remember you saying to me then, I'll be back,
Yep.
and that you were going to fight it. And yeah, so we are going to get you across that finish line in Kona in October. And so we are training towards that at the moment. And I think one thing, having started working with you and working out training plans and things like that, that again just blows my mind is how one minute you'll be texting me going, Jen, I'm in hospital and I'm hooked up to machines and things like this. And you'll send me selfies from being in hospital. And then the next day you're going, right, what's the plan, Jen? What are we doing? And I'm going, hold on, we need to just, make sure you're physically fit and able. But how do you do it? How do you just keep yourself going through hospital stays and then straight back into training?
I just don't feel bad for myself. I think there's a part of me, I've never said this before. I think there's a part of me that it's the way I self-protect myself. I don't I don't ex- I accept that I have multiple sclerosis. I accept that I have congenital heart defect, but
Mhm.
it's not going to stop me from doing anything. And especially not something that could change the world and what it looks like and open doors for the future PC athletes and neurodivergent athletes when people so that another woman doesn't have to go through what I went through trying to figure it out or having coaches dump her in a 5 minute phone call. I said this actually earlier this morning to somebody, and it's like, I see it like this: I'm going to die one day. That's the reality for everybody. Could it be sooner than most because of my diseases? Yeah. I could be blind tomorrow. All these things that I have against me. If anything happens to me, I want people to come to my funeral and say, not, oh my gosh, she was a world champion. Oh my gosh, she, sponsored by this. She PR'd that. No, I want people to say, that's Ashley Norton. She changed my life by swimming, biking, and running. She silently changed my life. And for me, that's enough. Everything else used to be important. But when you live in the unknown and you know that you live in the unknown, then you start to see things differently. So I will be in a hospital bed, yes, 100%. And people will ask me, they're like, same thing, like, this is insane. Like, you're just running 10 miles the next day. And I'm still in pain. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I want to lay down and whatever, but I just don't, it's not who I am. I'm going to get up because I know we have a goal. We're going back, not for me. We're going back with, and so many people are. invested. So many people are supporting me. Like I gotta get up. I get to get up. Not even I get to get up. And I can use my legs and feet. So I try to be in that place. I don't know. You got to be hardwired a little differently too, Jen. You know me. I'm a little, woo-hoo, but like I love it. I love the challenge of somebody or something telling me to sit down because I won't. I won't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna always
No.
get up no matter what.
You do, and you keep fighting. And so we have a race next week, which is part of your training to get you
Yay.
across that finish line. Do you want to tell us what you're doing next week?
Yeah. So we're going back to Salem where everything began, where all the crossings and Ironheart Woman was born. So yeah, I'm really excited. I love Salem. So I'm excited for the river swim. The bike is super fun. The run's really hot, and I thought it's gonna be like 90 degrees. But hey, Jen ordered some Kona training, so that sure came into light. But I'm excited. I'm excited to race with IMF, just to support them. I'm excited to race. I partnered with MSAA, Multiple Sclerosis Association of America, and they have really supported me and Gina Murdoch, the CEO, and everybody. They're just such an incredible platform. So now we get light on MS even bigger, which is awesome. Having a
Amazing.
guide this year, having Joy, that is what an extraordinary opportunity. Like at first it was like, well, you crossed on your own, so that's okay, right? But bringing Joy into the picture was such an appropriate thing because if I had her in Kona, I would have had the support I needed. And that definitely, that 7 times I had to get off my bike to put my chain on, why my hands were numb and I couldn't get it on, and there was nobody
Yeah,
around, that probably would have got me at least to the run. Who knows what would have happened, but at least
absolutely.
we would have got up there to.
Yeah, so you are
Yeah.
going to be racing the 70.3 next week, which, for those of you who don't know, it's a half Ironman distance and the World Championships with a guide. And the stories that we've spoken about kind of during coaching calls and things like that, of you getting out the water and your hands being physically numb and your feet being physically numb, and those daggers going in, just being able to kind of get your bike shoes on, get your running shoes on, open up nutrition were impossible tasks for you.
Yeah.
Which is where having a guide, she'll be able to help you do all of that, and just help you to kind of get down that finish line, and show what people with MS can do, and that it doesn't have to stop you. So we are truly thankful that Joy is on board. And
Yeah.
it's amazing that the MS Association are on board, because it can just share information with so many others and inspire others. And you are racing with the Ironman Foundation.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell us a bit about what you know about the Ironman Foundation and the work they do?
Yeah, everything is give back. Everything that goes in goes right back in. I'll never forget meeting Audra. Now, mind you, in Salem, I wasn't intertwined with IMF yet. It wasn't until after Salem. So to see the work that they did and to really educate myself, and just to, and I mean, as we know, like Audra and Michaela, everybody, they're just so extraordinary. I mean, talk about real change happening in the communities that we're touching down and we're racing in. And especially having a little girl myself, and especially giving back to all the kids. I know that with IMF they're so supportive of not just able bodies, but they're the supporter of us, the blind, the autism, the Down syndrome, the MS, the cerebral palsy, whatever, all these stories we have through Iron Man. And without IMF, without Audra, without everybody coming together as one, we wouldn't have these extraordinary, inspiring stories, which is what Iron Man is about. It's about
Yeah,
changing other people's lives through our hard work, dedication, and what we show on race day.
yeah.
So I'm just really honored to like be a part of IMF and everything they do, and just it's just so it's incredible, like the scale and the amounts of things they do and people and children they get to just through these races. So yeah, I love IMF. I wouldn't race for anybody else except Audra.
No. No, they are a great cause. And yeah, so you are going to be racing raising awareness of MS and IMF. So we're going to Salem next week and then the World Championships. If people want to follow your journey, Ashley, how can they follow your story?
Yeah, ironheartwoman.com is the website. We have a GoFundMe up there. We need a lot of support to get to Kona. I'm one little lady on a big mission. And so if you believe and you or you're affected by MS and you want to support, I wholeheartedly great ask you to please donate because there's got to be funds to get us there. And then you can join the journey and start finding your finish line through my finish line and others finish lines at my Instagram, which is ironheartwoman dot or just ironheartwoman by itself. But yeah, it'll all be on there. And every day, like Jen says, one day I'll be in the hospital on Instagram, the next day I'll be running. So get prepared for a real life movie.
It
Couldn't
is a
make this up.
movie, but a very exciting movie. And so let's just finish on if you could give some advice to somebody who may be struggling with MS, have just got a diagnosis, what would you say to them?
I think not even just MS. I just think for everybody that's struggling, it's just your life's not over. That living in your full purpose. I every day I try to live in brave, healed, and authentic in everything I do. Just keep going. Find something that you were meant to do and put your whole heart into it, but make sure it's something that's giving to others. That's when I really started to live in my full purpose in my life. And that's when I was the happiest in my 39 years on this earth. Is that when I finally, that's what Iron Man did for me. It finally gave me my purpose. And I may not be the most sponsored and the most this, that, and the other, but I'll tell you one thing, I feel pretty good about the life that I'm living every single day. So when you see me, I hope that you see what it looks like to never give up, no matter what you're going through. And your finish line is what? Your finish line can look like anything. It doesn't have to be bright lights. It doesn't have to be. It could just be you literally getting up every day and knowing that you are worth it all.
Yeah. Thank you, Ashley. You
Yeah.
inspire me so, so much every time I speak to
Oh,
you.
I
And
love you.
I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to hold you up too much longer because I put a run down, and you are off to get that run done, ready for Salem next week. And yeah, I cannot wait to see you cross that finish line in Kona and run down that red carpet. Thank you so much.
Yay. Thank you.